Hello and welcome to Optimal Game State. Today we are looking at what I guess is kind of a mini preview of the new edition, so 5th edition of Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. So everything we have on screen right now is really what we've known, what has been announced. So I'll go through that in a quick second. But what we're actually going to talk about for the majority of this is the new source book, which is a Temple of Spite, which is all about the Dark Elves, and that is compatible, is set up for the new edition. So there's a bunch of rules in there that are actually different to the rules we have in the 4th edition core book, and are most likely going to be the new edition's rules in a new edition once the book comes out. All right, so let's see what we have here first. So, upgrade without fear. Your old content material is going to be the same. Great. So, all the old books that I currently have are still going to be good. 5 distinct character types. So, that's the normal races. So, no change there. 64 distinct careers. I did count it out, and I think it's the same, or maybe off by 1, but I think it's the same. Basically, all of this is the exact same as you had before. They do say that it's streamlined rules for combat pursuits, diseases, and other perilous phenomena. Hopefully, they make some changes. Streamline is good. But I suspect what we have is going to be the same. All right, we have a little bit more detail. So we've got an answer from Dom. Satisfying level of detail they love, blah, blah, blah. So addressing some of the concerns. So I think this is probably going to be more of a 4.5. So keep the core. But then honestly, 4 was basically just 2nd edition upgraded, really, wasn't it? Okay, so they reworked combat to flow a little better and keep easier to keep track of. I think I know what they mean by that, and made the game a little more deadly. There are a few ways to deflect critical hits now. So the major way you would do that was with your armor. Your armor, you could blow a chunk of the armor to deflect the critical hit. If that's gone, that is going to be a lot more dangerous. I have saved many a limb by having nice armor everywhere. Then Dave has a couple of details, a lot of work on his detailed systems. Okay, talents now apply to specific areas and do that one thing well, avoiding problem overlapping bonuses. Not sure what they mean by that. They merged resilience and resolve into fate and fortune to reduce tracking of resources. Okay, I could get on board with that. The magic system takes cues from winds of magic. Good. And integrates the material more tightly into core. Great. That's what I was saying anyway. All right, let's get more into this. So this is the Temple of Spite book. And as you can see there, this is the little... the book isn't out yet. The PDF is out. So as with all Cubicle 7 releases, what they tend to do is they'll release the PDF and you will be able to have a read through it. And then if there are problems or issues, you can go back to them and say, hey, there's an issue, and then they normally update it. So I think a lot of people give the feedback through on Drive-Thru RPG where you get the PDF. But yeah, typically what you'll do is you'll order a book at the Cubicle 7 store, the physical book, and then they'll send you the PDF while you're waiting. So it's the system is good. Honestly, I wish their editing was a lot better, but the fact that they go through this process of the PDF and then 6 months later the physical book does mean that the physical books we get are a lot better quality than they could be. Okay. So the key part here is you can see they're talking about Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay 5th edition in it. So this is a book compatible with it. This is where we're mostly going to be looking. So you can see here they've got a profile for a Dark Elf. All the numbers, all the stats we're used to are still there, so there's no change there, which is great. They have tidied up, I think, the way the traits work. So you can see here they've spelt out some of them. So in this case, it's just a night vision. But for a GM of this game, I've definitely seen it with my GM. I'm currently a player. My GM has, at the end of some battles, cursed themselves for forgetting to look at something. So the profiles in this book are a little larger and sometimes repeat talents over and over again. And that is what we're going to be looking at this. We're going to be looking through some of the talents they have. Now, a lot of them follow this format. So we reverse the dice roll. And if we do, you get a maximum success level of 1. So I don't think we had that before. It's a nice idea. So it does mean you're more likely to succeed. But if you have to reverse, if you have to pull out this particular talent, then you're only going to get a maximum of 1. There are certain cases where the talent, at a low level, the talents, you'd have maybe skill of 30 in something, and then the talent would let you get 7 degrees success, which is very, very, very good. So for most of these, that's been kind of tailored down and is no longer there. They haven't got rid of it completely. So you can see here you've got schemer, attractive, and cold-blooded. And in this case, you can straight reverse it, and they don't have that wording. Now, maybe what they'll do is they'll go through and they'll update these, and they'll add that clause in. But, it kind of makes sense to me for some of them. If you're attractive, being able to get ridiculous amount of successes, no matter how bad you are at charming, you just kind of stand there and look pretty. Sometimes that works. So that's interesting. Yeah. I'm not entirely sure, as I say, if these are ones that they've missed or if these are ones that are intentionally there, but we are currently still seeing a few that are different. Magic. Now, we're only working off this system based off of the two major talents for magic. That's Instinctive Diction and Etheric Attunement. As a caster, you wanted to get your hands on these for two reasons. One, you got rid of miscasts, permanently got rid of miscasts. And then on top of that, you get it multiple times because it kept adding to your success levels. We don't know if you are still adding to the success levels. I think it's likely that's something that they're going to remove. It was a bit of a weird quirk. Not every player was immediately aware of it. That basically, sometimes you were picking up talents purely for the fact that they give you that success level. In this case, they've also changed the base one. So before, you just couldn't have minor miscasts, basically, if you screwed up. Sorry, is it? If you overcast, if you get a doubles, but you successfully cast, so you're powerfully doing it. They've changed it, and now it's just a 10 modifier. So you're adjusting the miscast. You're still rolling on the table, so it's making spellcasting a little more dangerous. I know from our experience, at a certain point, our wizard just wasn't in a position where they would ever have a problem. Like, it was so tiny, it was like maybe 2%, and if it ever came up, they would re-roll it out. So yeah, having it here so we get more rolls on a miscast table is probably good. We obviously will have to see how that miscast table looks like. We don't want it to be terrifying with people blowing up on turn 1 of the game. But yes, interesting to see this change. Next up, we have advantage. Now, we don't know what the rules on advantage are going to be, but we can see in some of these talents elements of it. So what it says is you may lose advantage to do something. So we've got some free attacks there. We've got, while you've got advantage, you're immune to fear. We've got Shieldman. You can, help block somebody else. So you lose advantage to block somebody else, to go give an adjacent, and then or to push someone back if you get it. And then we've got a new weapon quality with slash, which I imagine will turn up a bit. And slash will basically give beating conditions. And if you do a crit, and then if you lose advantage, you can have them suffer a crit. Anyway, sorry, we're looking at advantage here. So it looks like advantage is going to be binary. So you're either going to have it or you're not going to have it. So presumably, if you succeed at your roll, you're going to gain the advantage, and then you'll have an option to spend it or hold on to it. Maybe having it will give you a bonus. We don't know. We'll have to see. I will say I have enjoyed group advantage, so I'll be a little bit disappointed to see this going. I do like a mechanic within the group to do things, but a far simpler version of advantage where we just track where we have it and we can spend it for special effects looks cool. It looks good. Okay, what do we have on this one? Oh, this is everything else I could see. Everything else I could find. Okay, so we've got Blather, which I think stun locked people before. Now just lets you get out of a conversation unhindered. People are just like, I have no idea what's going on. We'll leave them alone. We do have Tracker. Okay, this is an interesting one. So add +3 success levels, all track tests. This is why I think we might be losing the success level bonuses from talent, because we've got a specific talent here that is giving additional ones. And yeah, you can see Strider over to the right is also giving a +1. I think distracting is similar to what we had before. Combat reflexes. So this one, I think, just gives +10. I had a look. There was a couple of different versions of it. And this particular fighter actually had an initiative of 70. And then the combat reflex, I think, was giving them +10 to make it 80. So I don't think it gives you 80, which is amazing. I think it just gives you +10, which is still great. Now, maybe... is that one you could maybe take multiple times? Interesting. That might be useful. So maybe we'll have a clause where it lets you take it multiple times. But, getting a +10 is already good enough. We've got a bunch of other effects that are kind of interesting. These all look mostly to be changes, but minor enough ones. So yeah, shadowing before you used to be able to just roll one dice, but now, so yeah, you'd either roll your perception to keep an eye on them or your stealth to not be spotted by them. Now you still look like you roll both of them, but you get to choose whether you get spotted or whether you lose track of them. So yeah, so it looks like they've touched pretty much every talent in the book, and they've done a readjustment based on what they've discovered from playing over the edition. So I think that's great. It is going to be something I'm going to be able to pick up, and it'll go straight into my collection. And all the books that I already have will be still fine. Everything I've seen so far looks like they're an improvement. Yeah, I'm looking forward to whenever this comes out. I think it's going to be a good one, and I think you could probably go ahead and move your game over to this if you're in the middle of it, because if they're just changing all the talents, we'll have to have a look to see if any of the careers change. Obviously, that could have an impact on how your character is structured or developed. But I think you could probably take whatever you currently have and just move ahead with the talents. Oh, well, if you've got multiple talents, I guess if you're a wizard and you've got multiple instinctive diction, you might be looking for a refund. Anyway, yes, I'm very happy with this. I do think what we've seen so far is great, and I am looking forward to it eventually getting out. And then, as I said before, the first version that comes out is going to be a little bit buggy. We're going to have some errors, but keep an eye on Drive to RPG. Look at the comment section, and we should see people posting issues and posting concerns, and then having someone like Dom from Cubicle 7 coming back saying they've taken them on board, they've updated it, and then once we get the physical version out, then it'll be all good to go. All right, have a great week, and I will talk to you soon.
Thanks for making it all the way to the end. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Each week, I put up a new video talking about one of Games Workshop's specialist games. The goal is always to try and make the best possible two-player experience. If this is something you'd find interesting, please subscribe to the channel and comment to let me know what you'd like to see in future.